Hey everyone, it's Janelle Moos, Advocacy Director with AARP North Dakota. Welcome to Friday. Yes, it's Friday and it's All Things Advocacy, and you'll notice that I'm flying solo today. Josh is taking a well-deserved afternoon off, and so I'm here today to give you a brief update about what's been going on at the Capitol and also bring in a special guest that can highlight some of the important work that's going to be happening next week at the Capitol. So, it was another busy week at the Capitol. We are really looking towards the end game, and what you all know, what we've been covering and really pushing so hard for you this legislative session is how can we cut the cost of prescription drugs for you and so many older North Dakotans across the country and across the state. And we're in good shape. We still have 4 bills that are being considered both in the House and the Senate. This week, the House Bill 1032, or the transparency bill related to prescription drug costs, was heard in the Senate Human Services Committee, had a really good hearing, and Kathy Schwan, our volunteer state president, I have to really give her a big shout out. She did an excellent job providing testimony to the committee and really sharing her story and advocating on behalf of so many older North Dakotans about the importance of that bill in particular. We're looking forward to next week, where our last and final bill related to prescription drugs will be heard in the House Industry, Business, and Labor Committee. And with me today to talk about this bill, which is 2170, I'm really happy to have Drew Gatine, who's a Senior Policy Fellow with the National Academy for State Health Policy, or NASHP, with me today to talk through what's expected for next week. So, Drew, welcome. It's good to see you. Thanks for joining me this afternoon.
Janelle, really appreciate you inviting me to join you today. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. So as I was telling our viewers, the final bill related to prescription drug costs is showing up on the schedule next week, and it's Senate Bill 2170. And, a lot of our viewers have heard a lot about Canadian importation, but this bill's a little bit different. It looks at not necessarily importing the prescription drugs, but importing the prices. And you were instrumental in being part of helping draft that model bill. So can you tell, our viewers about what this bill in particular does and why it was put together?
Yeah, absolutely, Janelle. And I think you teed it up exactly right. I know there's been a lot of conversation around importation. NASHP has done a lot of work with states on importation. But like a lot of other things, importation involves waiting around for the federal government to do something. And as those of us like you and I who work in states, we know that, states can't just sit around and wait for the federal government to act, that a lot of really good, smart, innovative health policy happens at the state level and is going to continue to happen at the state level. So whereas importation involves literally bringing drugs from Canada into the United States, this bill really is about price importation. We all know, and I'm sure there are a lot of people in North Dakota that know, because it's a border state, people in Canada pay a lot less for their prescription drugs than people in the United States. And some very highly utilized and very expensive drugs like Humira and Enbrel are up to 80% cheaper in Canada than they are for Americans and people of North Dakota. So what this bill requires is for a state that adopts it, and it's under consideration in North Dakota, as you said, to look at the top 250 most expensive drugs within the state, and then to just look over across the border and cross-reference that American price to the Canadian price, and to basically set the Canadian prices the highest rate that insurers and payers will pay for that drug. Drug companies make profits in Canada and in other foreign countries. And they will continue to do well if this bill is enacted. But this will significantly drop the price of prescription drugs, and which is such a huge driver generally in healthcare costs.
Absolutely. I think that really helps pinpoint the difference between looking at actually importing the drugs versus the prices. And that's ultimately what our consumers are looking for, are more cost, effective ways to pay for their medicine, while also balancing the other bills that they have, utilities and paying for food. So I think this is, like you said, one other solution. But are there other states considering legislation similar to the model bill that NASHB proposed?
There are. This bill is actually been getting a lot of traction across the United States. NASHB drafted this bill over the summer. We introduced it at our national conference of state legislators at the end of the summer. And this year we saw this bill introduced in six different states. It's been introduced in Hawaii. It's been introduced in North Dakota, obviously, in Oklahoma, in Maine, and in Rhode Island. So you really literally see all across the country and right in the middle. You've seen this bill introduced. It's NASHB is a non-political organization. We are nonpartisan. It's been introduced in red states and blue states, and this is an area where I think there's a lot of common ground and a desire to fix this problem.
I think that's excellent, and I think you highlighted the importance of looking at this broadly and finding the best policy solution. And anything else that you'd like to add about this bill in particular that our viewers would find interesting?
Well, we're very excited about it. Really great to see. I mean, again, we are not an advocacy organization, but it is great to see advocacy organizations being willing to come and try to help legislators make these decisions. We are very hopeful, that it will get passed in a number of places, and we're going to keep working on it. We're going to continue to support legislators who are willing to take this on. And let's be honest, there are very powerful forces, that come out and push back against sensible policy like this. But we believe, that there is some very good policy here that legislators can embrace and work and amend it to make it specific to the needs of the people in North Dakota, which the sponsor of this bill has done, and other legislators will do. So we just stand by ready to help legislators who are willing to move ahead with smart policy.
No, I can't thank you enough. I know Senator Anderson, who's the prime sponsor of this bill, he's really talked very highly of NASHB, and really, like you said, the support that NASHB gives to state legislatures, really helping them think through, here's a model bill, but this is important for you to find what works in your particular state. And I think that's really been, what we've looked to NASHB for is good policy, good examples that we can share with, our legislature, but also colleagues across the country. So I appreciate your help, and I appreciate you spending time with us today, and we'll look forward to possibly seeing you watching the hearing from your home state next week. So
thank you very much, Janelle. It's really a pleasure to join you today.
Absolutely. Thanks again. Have a great weekend.
You too. Thank you.
Well, folks, that was Drew Gattin. He's a senior policy fellow with NASHB, and he really gave you a good glimpse into what another potential policy solution that the legislature will be considering next week. And so what we encourage you to do every week, and we'll continue to do throughout the legislative session, is if members of the House Human Services Committee, the Senate Human Services Committee, and now this bill is being considered by the House Industry, Business, and Labor Committee, you can find information about these bills in particular and how to contact your legislator on our aarp.org/ND A-Team page. Please reach out, share your stories, tell them why this is an important issue to you and others in your life. So again, thanks for joining me today. I really hope you have a great weekend, and we'll see you next week.